Welcome everybody to another episode of Memories of Us. Today we got, what is it, Deena? I want to make sure I correct it, make sure, because I do mess up sometimes. Deena Goldstein, right?
It's okay.
That is really interesting because I have a friend named Barry Goldstein. We actually thought that you was his wife because his wife's name is Deena as well.
Hey, you never know in what world we're related. It could happen.
This is very, very true. This is very, very true.
Oh,
no. Deena, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you.
She's here today. She has a book called The Little Bird, right?
Okay, Little Bird.
The Okay, Little Bird. And it's amazing how she got to building this book and writing this book. It started off as journals, and now here we are today. She's here to tell us a lot more about what the book really stands for. So, Deena, tell people about yourself and where you're from.
Well, first of all, I appreciate you having me on the show, Tony. I'm really excited to chat with you. And so basically, I live in Arizona and I've lived near my family for many years. And the book was sort of like kind of I don't know if you want to call it a happy accident, because, anytime we deal with grief is not really happy. However, I was able to kind of flip what was really deeply, profoundly upsetting for me, the grief and loss, into something that was really positive that I hope will be inspirational for others. And basically the book, takes a reader on a bouncy ride. I had a really amazing relationship with my dad. He was this bigger than life guy, quirky, unfiltered sometimes, especially in department stores when people could hear. But anyway, really good guy. And anyway, we had this really fun relationship. Well, as his health declined as an adult, this was now a couple years ago, I began to deal with his mortality issues, something I didn't think I'd have to deal with. And, haven't you been in a place where you didn't want to have to think about losing somebody you love, but it was right there in front of me and I had a choice, am I going to handle this and how am I going to handle this? And, and so I did. And so basically the day before he died, I was sitting with him and it was quiet and I had some thoughts and I just kind of popped my phone out and I jotted some thoughts down. And the next thing I know, it was like a year and a half later and I picked my head up and I was like, I have something here, and work with an editor. Next thing you know, I published Okay, Little Bird. And the thing that's been really amazing to me is it's an amazing journey to write through the process of grief. It's really amazing when people connect with you and say, oh my God, I read this, you put into words what I was not able to verbalize, or it allowed me to go through something or laugh at something. And one of the pivotal things in this book is my father had such an amazing sense of humor that I used what he taught me, his gift of humor, to get through the grief. Because everybody navigates grief differently. There's no right or wrong, right? And it's okay to talk about it and do whatever you need to do. And there's some people that have creative outlets and some people don't. It doesn't matter what you do. I mean, if you want to go, paint or talk to somebody, whatever it is, I just chose to write. And so I hope that people feel super inspired by my story and how you can kind of be okay when things are not okay.
And I think that's the biggest thing that people should get out of the grieving process.
Right.
There's so many stigmas that go with it. This is not normal. This is not normal. And we look at it from different perspectives. I see it from a man's perspective and you see it from a woman's perspective. And it's like almost total opposites in a way, because on one hand, we're told to do this. And on the other hand, we're told not to do this.
Right.
And it's like, okay, I'm a man, so I get told all the time, hey, men don't do this. Well, I used to get told all the time until I stopped it. I was like, no, that's not true. Right.
It's like pre-programming, like, right. Okay, we don't cry. You're not going to talk about this. You're just going to, suck it up and move on. But you know what? It is, if you think about it, we're all humans and everybody experiences the same thing. It doesn't matter who you are. I mean, like, grown men cry, grown women cry. I mean, we're so far past these old social stereotypes from when we're kids. Don't cry. What are you doing? You don't cry,
Yeah.
And so it's allowable. Coping is important. It's what we do. Talking about it, your show, this is an amazing forum for people to learn that, hey, it is okay to do whatever you need to do to get through your process. If that means grabbing, 10 pounds of chocolate, well, then that's what you do.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe 5 pounds. 10 pounds is a little excessive.
Well, 10 pounds is 10 pounds. You don't have to get it all eaten in the same day.
I do.
An hour.
I do. Well, I pace myself. I put a little timer on, and yeah. But anyway,
you know what my timer looks like? Yeah, this chunk will look really
exactly right. Yes,
you know?
Exactly.
It is like, we want to tell people, man, like whatever you're going through right now, it's totally normal, but you can't get through it alone.
No.
And you inspired me because your book is something that it's a very great creative outlet for it. And so I commend you on writing a book, taking those things and seeing what you have and putting it out there and everything like that. So walk us through the grieving process before you got into the book. Walk us through that process.
So because we were so close, I just never thought I would be able to handle losing him. Right. And then I found out, this was happening. I mean, it's like somebody running cold water through your veins. Mm. It's not like it happens and then you get told. There's situations where, somebody passed away, you find out, and you're not in this preparatory, you're just like waiting for it to happen.
Right.
My brother asked my father a couple of weeks before he died, he said, "Are you scared?" And my father said, "No, I'm just waiting. I just don't know how to do it." I mean, we think about ourselves on our end, but there's the person that's going through it too. And so I didn't know what to do, because making small talk with somebody that's right on the edge of transitioning to wherever they're headed,
right,
is kind of irrelevant. It's really neat. You really need to be with them in whatever space they're in. And sometimes that's just complete silence or darkness or whatever it is. And so I was actually in the room when he passed, which if you had told me 2 years ago, I would have been there. I just would have never thought I would have been able to do that. But I was, and it was an honor. And the moment that he left, I thought, oh my God, this is my first 5 minutes without my father. Then it was the first day without my father. And then it continued. Every day was, oh my gosh, I drive by the street where the group home was. And we do these little reminders. And in the book, I have a section about, it's been 1 year and who's counting. Well, I'm sure, Tony, that in some of the losses you've experienced in your life, you count things. You count like, oh, it's been, 2 weeks. I can't believe it's been 2 weeks without this person. Oh, yeah. 2 weeks ago, I was just talking to them on the phone or I was holding their hand. And so for a while there, because I was in the room with my sister, I was reliving it over and over and over again. Then I got far enough away where I was feeling this horrible loss, Right. But I was writing this book and I was so poured into it. I didn't realize that I was doing my own personal group therapy, me, a pen and a laptop. And that's basically what it turned out to be. I've had people say, wow, that must've been really therapeutic. And I didn't realize till the end that, it was. Right. And so for me, going through this process, I'm so grateful for this book because I don't know how I would have gone through it. And by the way, all this happened in the midst of COVID. We couldn't even see him. Yeah. Right. So I didn't see family. I didn't see, nothing. So I basically, I'm grateful. I have my husband here and family that we Zoomed and talked and my daughter and you just move through it one day at a time. It's one day at a time. If you think, how am I going to get through 3 months? It seems overwhelming. It's a minute by minute, day by day, month at a month, and one day at a time. And you talk and you let yourself, I thank God for the elliptical because it was a place where I just would, my tears would start coming out. Yeah. Probably not from endorphins because I wasn't having that much fun, but I think the important thing is not to bottle it up and jam it down. It's okay. And not everybody feels comfortable letting their guard down. So it's figuring out what works for you. For some people, it might be journaling, right? And some people, it might be talking to somebody, or, you started this amazing podcast and you have like a community behind you that's gained support and inspiration, knowing that they're not alone.
Right. Exactly. And that's what it's all about. As we all move through the grieving process, right? And everybody is so individual. So that's why it's amazing because I've met maybe a handful of people who have done it in creative ways. I have a friend who paints and he takes the ashes and he paints pictures for people through the ashes.
That's amazing.
Amazing stuff, right? And then there's another lady who lost 3 of her kids at a very early age. Oh. And so now she does she teaches kids how to grieve through storytelling. So she wrote like a little series of books just like yourself. And
that's amazing.
I was like, wow. But everybody does it differently.
Right.
Everyone, like whatever grief does, how it manifests itself on the outwards, right? We never really pay attention to it. It becomes instinctively.
Right.
It really does. It becomes, and we normally base it off the experiences that we have or the journey that we've taken to get to where we are. And so when things like that happen, it's like light. I don't know. For it sounds like a light bulb went off, and you was like, I need to write this stuff down.
Yeah, it just poured out of me. It wasn't even a thought. Like, it wasn't a choice. Yeah. It's sort of like when I paint. I mean, I've been painting for years. When I felt inspired, I walked up to the canvas and it happened. If I sat there and mulled over it, like if I sat down, okay, I'm writing a book, I would have never done that. I didn't set out to write a book. I set out to get a story out, I guess, for my own self. And it turned into what was very universally shareable. Yeah. Here we go. I have somebody that I love that is going to die. I don't have choices about it. I can either be with them, go through it, move through it, and then figure out how to get to the other side. While I'm also trying to be there for my mother, to help her, help my daughter, my husband, all the people, everybody's affected. Everybody's feelings are valid, right? Mine are different. I was his daughter. You have a son-in-law, you have a wife, you have a grandchild. So everybody's got these experiences, and I kind of threw myself into helping my mom because I was just willing to do whatever I had to do. If I could take like 10 minutes of pain away from her, then that's what I did. And I poured myself into her. So I didn't completely in totality feel anything till I finished the book. And then it all hit me. I had people calling me, oh my God, and it kind of hit me, the whole experience. So, yeah.
I think when we going through it, I think we have speaking from my own perspective, I thought I was going to have people around me.
Right.
I really did. I thought I was going to have people around, especially after when I lost my son, because anybody they knew what type of father I was. My son was with me all the time. So there was not a day that didn't go by that if I wasn't taking him and picking him up from school, we was doing projects. We were always out doing something, no matter where I went, right? Once I got off work and we got home, got homework done, he was always with me. Now, don't get me wrong. His mother was in the picture. She was. But she worked like 4 jobs. And I almost thought that she never wanted to spend time with him. And so for me, I was like, I'll take him.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be that father. I just, come on, give him to me. Like, I didn't sign up for a part-time thing.
Right.
And so when he passed away, I still live in the surrealness of it. Like, did it really happen?
Yeah, I mean, I just can't even imagine how overwhelming that must have been for you.
I mean, it was. And I still have my moments, right? But I noticed that when my father and my little brother passed away, my little brother passed away, it hit pretty hard, but when my father passed away, it wasn't really a harder transition. We kind of anticipated that he was going to pass away.
Right.
And just so happened he passed away. I went there because they had him in a medical-induced coma. And the day I came back to Colorado, he came out of that. And a week later, he passed away from congestive heart failure. So we had our hopes up high, then it went down. Sure enough, I was just like, oh, man. That wasn't one of the major. I mean, losing a parent is major, but I lost all my grandmothers before then.
Oh, my goodness.
And then countless friends before then, right? So I'm already used to death. And I can accept those things a lot faster than most. And I never understood why. I was like, man, what? I get it. We got to keep moving. But it was part of something that I was going through. And, it wasn't until when I watched my son pass away, it was horrible. Whole world just crashed down.
Oh, oh my gosh.
And then for years, I couldn't tell you what I've done. Brain fog, right? Grief.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Right. That's a known thing. Mm-hmm. Oh, yes.
And I wanted people to be there, right? I have no family. I have one little sister left.
Yeah.
She lives in Virginia. So imagine trying to navigate that with 2 strikes against me. 1, I'm a man. 2, I'm a Black man in society. And I hate to put race out there, but it's totally different because of the cultural backgrounds that we all live, right?
Right. Well, and we talked about that in the beginning. There's this expectation that you don't need to do. You move on. You pull
need
up
to
your
man
bootstraps.
up, right?
Yep.
You need to man up.
Man up, yeah.
I remember my mother told me that after my son passed away. And I remember I was on the phone with her and I just wanted someone to talk to.
Yeah.
I'm breaking down,
Right.
I am literally breaking down. I need some sort of stronghold. I need someone to tell me things are going to be okay. Because right now, these are not okay.
Right.
I remember my mother telling me, she goes, son, you gotta stop crying. You gotta pick your head up and you gotta man up.
Right. But here's the thing. It's like right now, no, I need to cry.
And that's what I told her.
Yeah, I know.
Right now, there's no man up, mama.
Yeah.
I don't know how to deal with this. I just lost a child.
Right. Yeah.
And then when she passed away, and I was there when she passed away, she had passed away from a stroke, a real bad stroke, multiple strokes, and then a major stroke.
Oh my goodness.
And, I just happened to be there when she passed away. And I remember sitting there with my uncles. One of my uncles actually got up and left out the room. I had a couple cousins in there. And I don't know, from there, it was like, that was 2 years later, 2 years and 1 month after my mother passed away on my grandmother's birthday. And I was like, damn, I don't want to do this anymore.
Right. Yeah, I'm done.
I am totally done, right? I am totally done. So that began my journey into understanding grief, building that relationship with them. I think most of us that do go through these things, we never asked to do it, right? It's just one of those things that it manifests itself out.
Right. Well, and you know what's interesting is like, my mother used to say, my mom was a therapist, and she would say to truly understand how somebody feels, you have to go to that dark place with them.
Right.
Like when you called your mom, it wasn't like, I get it. Let's just sit here and talk about it. I know you're feeling bad. I know it and just acknowledge that you're feeling bad instead of like showing you how you got to get better fast.
Right.
You'll get there. You'll get better. But right now you need to not be better. It's okay to not feel okay.
And again, that's what we teach ourselves, right? We know this now after we've walked through it. So the knowledge came after the fact of, right? Things started to make sense. And so I wasn't mad at I'm not mad at my mom for saying it because I realized that she still had both of her kids.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? She's never had to bury a kid.
Not what you did. No, she did not. She has no idea what you did.
Right. She had no idea. So, it took me a long time to realize that because at first I was upset with her. Like, don't you not understand what I'm going through? And some years later, I had to sit back and go, no, she didn't. And you cannot be upset with her because she was teaching you what she was taught.
Right.
And as we go through these process, and again, that's how the idea came about. I was like, you know what? I want to connect with other men. What I didn't realize is that I was laying down a format to build a structure to do everything that I was doing it on. And I didn't realize that until about almost 2 years later. That was the fun part about it, right? Because I'm like, I'm going crazy here.
Right.
These things that I'm hearing, it's like, I can hear them just as well as I'm talking to you. And I'm going, no, I'm going crazy, right? I am literally going crazy. And then I think when I felt that craziness come over is when I started planning out my suicide. Now, I say that because the 5 stages of grief look different.
Right.
From a man's perspective.
Right.
And so the masculine behavior that we have, kind of takes over and it kind of guides you through it. Right.
Right.
And so just like if you're a man in society, we don't have that support.
No, it's different.
So we go through those 5 stages of grief. And and when the day I committed to taking my life was the day that everything else opened up in my mind was like, hey, pay attention to what's going on. Look at everything. Let's break this down. I remember sitting there with the gun in my hand and I was just going, well, I'm going to throw this in there because that's kind of ruined. I only had one shot at this. Right. And now that's ruined. I was kind of upset that it was ruined because I was done with it. And then something said, hey, pay attention. The light went off. I went, you know what? I just need to see out of curiosity. Is there help out there for us, man? If so, I need to get some help. I went out there and I searched. None.
Well, what's interesting is everything took you to that moment because that's what you're supposed to be doing. You were going to be the help that's out there for them.
I never really understood that. I really did. I'm such an introvert. I really am. I am good without people. Like I'm good with staying in the house. I'm good without talking with anyone. Right. I'm good. I can do podcasts because I'm at home. I'm in my comfort zone.
Right.
Since I started this, it's taking me way outside of my comfort zone, and I'm still going around kicking rocks. Like, you know what? I think you could have brought me some help down here.
Right. But it's flourishing, and it's kind of taking you in that different direction.
Right. Just like yourself.
Right.
Our pain has become other people's survivor stories. Right. And to give that away selflessly is our gift to the people who are going through it. Right. Because I always tell people, connect with people. You have to identify your community.
Right.
And so when we do grief work and we tell our stories and, we show what grief has done for us, but it's not encouraging people, hey, let's go out there and go through something horrible so I can, that's my gift, right?
Right.
Not everybody needs to do that. You know what I'm saying? Your gift is going to be totally different. Those of us who had to go through it, that pot got stirred and then it got boiled over and somebody decided to kick it over on us. And so we're left there trying to pick up all the pieces, put them back in the pot so we can get this pot going again. And then you realize that the pot is a lot smaller, right? And the pieces that you put in there, not everything's going to fit, and I remember someone telling me, they were like, yeah, not everything's going to fit when you go through this. I was like, but why?
Yeah.
Why can't I have all of this back? They were like, and that voice said, because I have the pieces that you need in order to make you whole.
Right. They're different.
Yeah, they're different. And I went, whoa.
It's a new normal.
It's a new normal. Yes, right. It's a new normal. But is it really a new normal, or is it just the way that we perceive the normal?
Well, I think you shift the way you think about things.
Right,
Everything looks different. Right. And if you keep going about things the same way as you did, and the situation's different over here, it's not it won't jive. So you got to switch them up and then move forward. And it's sort of like, we used to have family dinners every Sunday, family dinners. Well, now I got an empty chair at my table, and that's a little bit weird. I tried putting my poodle in there, but she's really short and it didn't look like Dad. So we couldn't do that anymore. Yeah, it was kind of a bummer, but she did eat. She was less picky about food than my dad. So that was good. But you have to have humor about these things, right? I mean, because there are these absurdities and these things that happen, now that you're in this new normal. Okay, we're having a family dinner and there's an empty chair. Okay, well, now I make jokes about sticking my dog in the chair, right? And that's how I deal with like the empty chair. And we go through these things and we figure out ways to make them okay. Right. And I find, and I've tried to inspire other people to find humor in the absolute worst, because pain is awful, but pain can be gotten through.
Yes.
You just have to decide that you're going to get through it, however you get through it. And when you get to the other side, you'll be stronger for it. You'll be better for it. And then you'll have something to share, like your story, your podcast. I have a book. If somebody picks this up and they feel inspired, then, it's like, it'll be amazing. I mean, the very first time I went to visit my dad at his place, as I call it, I don't like the word graveside. It's just awful. So I call it a place. Nobody ever knows what I'm talking about when I say that. And so I went to visit him, and there's a section in the book called Incoming One-Liners. And my dad had this crazy sense of humor. So I go up there and, it was still fairly new. So they just had a little card marking his spot, and it was small. I mean, like I almost had to bring my readers. That's how small it was for me to find my dad. Yeah. I'm like, okay, this is not working. So I finally found him after taking a 7-hour tour of the cemetery. It was a lovely place. But anyway, I find him, and then all I can think is I can hear his voice going, oh, that's nice. 85 years in and a whole life. And all they can do is give me a little 4x6 index card to mark my spot. Like they could have put it on a matchbox. Nobody can find me. And this is his voice coming in. And I just kind of looked up and I'm like, thanks, Dad, because I was able to get through that first time at the cemetery. And now every time I go, don't you know, incoming one-liner, I get them all over the place. And so we find these things to hold on to make it okay. And so you can laugh when it's uncomfortable to laugh. It's okay. Right. It's kind of like, when things happen in our world and people like, is it not a good time to laugh, to crack jokes? When things happen, sometimes they're more appropriate than others, but we remember those things about our relatives or situation, things that are funny, and you can kind of use it to move you through a situation.
Right.
It's a great tool to have in your hip pocket to help you through tough times, any kind of tough times, but particularly grief.
Yeah. Now you dabbed into, you used to do comedy as well.
Yeah.
So how did you get into comedy? Because I love your personality. You got me just dying. I'm trying to keep my cheeks from flaring up. There's nothing more embarrassing than a black man with red cheeks on camera.
Hey, laughing's good.
So yeah, how did you get into comedy? Because I see how you I see how you intertwine it with your walk as well. Was you in it before? You was in comedy before the book, correct?
So I've always, we always had humor in my house, like my whole life growing up. I mean, there was nothing that wasn't, fair game. It didn't matter what it was. It could have been your outfit. It just didn't matter what was going on. So we always had that in the house. My brother actually kind of dabbled in stand-up. He's a super funny guy. And then when I was in Chicago in my 20s, and my friends like, you should really just do this. I had written so much stuff. So I went to a club and I did an open mic night, and then I got a really great response. I was like, oh my God, did that happen? Okay, that just happened. And then I did it again, and I did it several times, but I stopped because the hours were crazy. I mean, I'm not a 95-year-old, but and I certainly wasn't 95 back then, but let me say, when you're coming out of a club at 2 a.m. and then you have to get up and go to work the next day, I was like, okay, yeah, this is not working for me. I couldn't see straight to pour my Fruit Loops. So that was done. And I stopped and I kept writing and I still, and at some point, I'd love to turn OK Little Bird into a one-woman show, because there's a lot of really funny stuff in here that I'm well suited to do, because I knew my dad and I know his expressions and his facial, contortions and everything else that went along with his jokes. So, and I just took that humor. I just have always had a wry look at things. It just everything I see, there's just something funny to be had. It's just how I've gone through life, and it's gotten me through all kinds of challenges. And, whether you're getting fired from a job 20, 25, 27 times, that's not me. I'm just saying. I'm
not going to say nothing.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything. I mean, I saw the numbers go up, so apparently there's some sort of relation.
No. When I was a kid, I just job. I'm like, you want me to sit at a desk? I don't think so. Yeah. But no, so, the point is that whether you're in school, your kid in school, and there's like social stuff going on, it doesn't matter. That humor is really important. It's important to laugh at yourself. It's important to be able to just kind of roll with situations. And basically, when people pick up the book, I don't want them to think like, oh my God, I'm going to need a counseling session after this thing and 10 tissues. I mean, there's touching points, but it's a bouncy ride. You're going from laughter to like, oh, wow, that really hit home. Mm-hmm. There's some inspiration to be had, and there's some laughter, and there's takeaways that they can take and use, for their own healing.
Right. Yes. And I love that part, because, the more and more I do podcasts and meet people from across the world, like I said before, and everybody has their own way that their grief has manifested themselves. Right. In order for us to give it back out. Right. Because grief in its rawest form, which I've actually learned as I was going. Right. So, I didn't have anybody to go, oh, this is what this is. No one ever told me what the 5 stages of grief was or what it was going to do. And I, for one, was like, I didn't have the humor, right? I always wanted to write a book, but I never had the humor because I couldn't find humor in it. What I found was a lot of knowledge. It became a journey of understanding the grief, right? And then I was always put in situations around people that experienced it in different ways. And I'm going, wow, if this person experienced it over here, this person, I'm starting to make the connection. Then I'm looking at myself and going, well, I didn't do that, but I did this. And I didn't go past that, but maybe I did, and it just looked different. So I started making those things. And I went, you know what? I wonder how many other people out here know this.
But that knowledge, that journey, that's important, because whether you did it through humor, for you, it was getting information, because having something to hold on to
Mm-hmm.
becomes that person that's not around. Like, there's nobody around, especially during COVID. It's
Oh yeah, COVID was something different.
Nobody's handing out hugs. I mean, let's just
No.
face it. Not that.
Oh, I still was.
What?
No, I was not afraid. See, when COVID hit, right? When COVID hit, everybody got afraid. We went into lockdown, and right before COVID hit, I had just got an office space, and so I was going, you know what? Okay, we got this office space. What are we going to do with it? Well, we're going to continue doing what we're doing. But COVID kind of threw that monkey wrench in there, right?
Right.
COVID was like, yeah, we're not going to do that. And I went, but no, you don't understand. It's necessary. We got to have that community. We have to have this connection. We have to be around each other. And so I've been pretty fortunate. And there's a lot of people I know that wasn't fortunate during COVID, right? And we can talk about that a little bit more. But COVID hit. And COVID said, now you're going to have to take everything and you're going to have to flip it around and do something different. And I was stubborn in the beginning. I'm trying to get people to still come to the men's groups. And I tell you what, I think that's where I got most of my white hair. And then the bald spot back here just got smoother. And it was like, wow, why am I reflecting the sunlight? This is not good. Right?
Those are your prizes for doing such a good job.
Yeah. Right. So, and then further into the lockdown, something just said, let's do outreach. Let's go out there and meet these men where they are. And I went, we in COVID, no one's going to do it, but okay, let's try it. And sure enough, I started doing outreach, and I started getting women who were calling for their men because the men didn't want to call because they didn't want to admit that they were having problems.
Right.
And then from there, it was like one man after another, just meeting them all where they are. And then the brotherhood that came behind that. And I realized what was going on with me because I never had a community. I never had a tribe of men like myself. You
built it.
I had to
with
build
your
it.
hands.
Yeah, I had to build it. As they say, you build it, they shall come, right?
Right,
and
right.
A year and a half later, just struggling through it. Now we got over 400 men across the board.
That is incredible.
Right.
That's all in your hands.
Yeah. It's following that journey, that path, right? Understanding that this path is mine is so personal that, I have to keep it to myself. You know what I'm saying? Because if I leaked it out a little bit, then I may miss something.
Right. Or it won't stop leaking.
Or it won't stop leaking, right? But I was really quick to go, okay, you know what I'm saying? I need to pull that back in. But it wasn't that I was being stingy with the information. It's that there was so much in that information that I didn't understand.
Right.
I didn't want to put misinformation out there.
Right.
I wanted to understand it from every aspect. So I was just like yourself. It was a blessing, and then when we started doing the podcasting, that just became another blessing. It was slow starts in the beginning because people were like, you're talking about grief? I go, well, yeah. And they're like, oh, Tony, what are you going to talk about during grief? I said, look, there's some, like how you listen to my story.
Right.
There's so many other people out there. Like we're not alone. There's so many people out there with these amazing stories that's what we're going to focus on. And people thought I was crazy. And I was like, maybe I am.
No, there's so much out there. Oh my gosh. It's amazing. There's grief is its own community. It's like is as much of an athletic community as it, you know what I mean? I mean, there's a really robust
Except for
community.
We exercise different parts of our brain.
Yes.
And our body because we understand what the grief is doing. Like yours came, Jesus, I got hiccups. Yours came out in a creative way.
Right.
But it all comes out in a creative way, right? And I think that's what the similarities of with all of us grief workers when we do these things,
right?
Is that when it comes out, it's like, I know you didn't ask for this, but this is the way this needs to be handled, right? And I know people who do music therapy from across the world.
Oh, yeah.
They come out there just, I got a buddy in South Africa. He plays the cello. He does music therapy. And I'm just like, I listened to it one time. And without the music, if you heard him tell his story, right, you go, wow, that's amazing. Now, when you hear him tell his story through his music, there's no words. It's just music.
That's amazing.
It makes more sense.
Yeah. Well, because if you don't have words, as soon as you assign words, it becomes somebody else's story. If you pull the words out, everybody can put their story to the music.
It becomes universal.
Yep.
It definitely becomes universal.
Yep.
And, you know, and we all look back now and we have these tools and these tool belts. And I thought to myself, like, I can't carry this around. This is not mine.
Yeah.
These tools that I have in here, I've already applied them on my walk and I still apply them and I'm still bringing in more.
Right.
And I thought to myself, I said, wouldn't it be so amazing if I just gave it away?
You know, you should come up with okay, so you need a t-shirt that says Tony's Toolkit. That's it. You have to put merch on your website, Tony's Toolkit.
I got merch on my website. Look, I have bands and stuff that we've made, different colors. We just put journals and stuff up there.
I love it. Well, now you
all of that stuff.
Now you need Tony's Toolkit.
Yeah, the Tony's Toolkit, because it's like, hey, let's support it. See, I even went the extra step. I even got the pink one.
I like that.
Pink, right?
I like the two-tone.
It's engraved and everything
very cool.
around there. So women can wear it and be like, hey, I support breast cancer and men grieving.
Exactly right.
I love it. Those steps. You know, but the beautiful part about it is it wasn't. It was never about the money. It's never about the money, because Lord knows, running a nonprofit, you really don't make money. So everything that I've had to do, and me and my guys do, as far as running a production company and all of these things, it was the hard work that went into it. Right. And it was like, when we didn't have money, we were scraping around trying to make sure that we had the platform so we can edit and everything. We had to have, you know, we had the office space, but then we needed other things to make sure that the podcast was going on. There were certain things that we had to do to make sure that we were staying on track of reaching more men and things like that. And there was a lot of heartache, a lot of arguments. It was like, no, you don't understand. This is my vision. You're going to stick with the vision or I'm going to punch in your throat. And they're like, no, you're not going to punch us in the throat, Tony. We're just trying to add something. I'm like, no, you're messing with. It's going to happen. I'll put it right here in your throat. You're going to be choking. I'm going to make sure you're okay. There's always work before you have your product or whatever entity. You know, I opted to go through the self-publishing process because I didn't want to go with a commercial agent. I just... we're in a different landscape now with books and I have a background in marketing and things like that. And so I just wanted to organically share my story with people. And when you do what you love, the rest happens without, you know, you don't have to jump through a lot of commercialized hoops, I should say. Like I love podcasts because it is organic. It's a conversation. It's real. You know, and like you know, building your format, the publishing process it's like taking a master class. And I mean, I learned terminology that I just, you know, you're taking in all this information but it was really, really cool. Because it's like skin in the game, you know, it's not just that you wrote something and you're going to hand it off. Now you got to see it through to the end. And so it's really, it was really cool. Yeah. And I love that you said that, because that terminology that goes in there, you know, I just remember like when I decided to do the podcast, I just woke up one day and said, you know what, fellas, I think I'm going to do a podcast. And the two guys that I was with, now, mind you, the two guys that's been with me since the beginning have been there. They've seen people come and go. Yeah. And we're still the three ones that are right there. So you got to imagine not knowing nothing about doing it, but everybody's in agreement, and we just have no direction. We know what we're going to do, just have no idea about how we were going to do it. Yeah, that's okay. And it was like, we just, you know, it's like the little kid sitting down with the rocks, throwing them in the stream. You just see them go like this. Yes. And you know what I'm saying? And the rock don't go too far, but it makes a huge splash, right? And sometimes it makes a little small ripple. It all depends. But as that child gets older and you throw those rocks, now you're throwing it with better form. You're getting it a little bit further. And that's exactly what it's like. It was like, and you hear it hit the ground, bloop, and you go, and then you take the next one, you know, and then bloop, and you go, right? You always have that. And now you're in the Olympics. Yeah. And now here we are, we're running across the board, paving the way. for others to come to share their stories, but also to inspire other people to do it as well, right? Because it's no fun walking the path alone. You want people around you that are like-minded individuals. And being in a grief world now, connecting with so many people across the board, I can look back on it now through all the tragedy, and I can say I was truly blessed.
That's amazing.
Yeah, because people like your father, right?
Right. And if you told yourself that a year ago, 2 years ago, you wouldn't have felt like that at the time. It takes a little bit of time and space.
Yeah, people kept telling me, I had people, because I went to church. I used to go to church religiously, right? But I'm not a big religion type person. I believe in God, just not the religion. There's something that don't sit right with me with the religion, but that's only from my perspective.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's what works for me.
Right. Everybody's individual.
Right. Everybody's individual. So I never disrespect anybody's religion. Hey, if that's what works for you, please by all means do it. You know what I'm saying? I just don't believe in it because it makes me feel as if I'm being segregated from my brothers and my sisters. Right. And it's what it does. Yeah. Right. And that's what it feels like. And I'm like, no, this is not how this is supposed. And I'm not following that right over there because that don't feel right to me. It feels right to be connected with everyone. Right. It feels right to learn and give to each other, to serve each other, and to help build each other up, right? Instead of tearing each other down. So when I started seeing all of that, I went, you know what? That's one thing I can't get into, especially after when my son passed away. Yeah. It's like, because my obedience to God was just that, right? I didn't do the holy religion thing, but my obedience to him, to become a better man, to become a better father, and to learn what it was like to be a man, because I never had any role models. I never had anyone come up to me and say, this is what a man is supposed to do. Right. Right. I always had my mother go, this is what a man is supposed to do. And then when I got older, I went, how is a woman going to teach a man how to be a man? How's she know? Yeah, you know what it's like. Okay, so let's throw that out the window. That's a huge lie now. And now I look back on it and I go, wow, it finally makes sense to me. And it took me a long time to get back into my faith. And it took a whole lot of arguing with him. It's like, you know what? I really don't like the way you just done me. Do you realize, have you seen my life? Of course you have. You laid it out for me. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for this. I could have used a little bit of a warning. That'd have been nice. And then I realized there was never going to be a next time. Right. Right. Because I can't have kids anymore. My parents aren't coming back. My little brother is gone. He was supposed to be the one to take over my place, you know what I'm saying, as the oldest in the family. Then my son was supposed to take over after him. So we kind of skipped some steps. Yeah. You know, when the males in my family in my family got wiped out, I had to look at it in a different sort of reality, a sadder reality that I find very hilarious. Now, my sister don't find it hilarious, but I find it pretty interesting, and I still laugh at it. Again, finding the humor in it. Finding the humor, right. I looked at my sister at our last family reunion. The cousins got together and decided we was going to take over this family tradition again. We want to bring our family back together because we got family all over the place that don't know each other. Right. And that night, I sat up there and I started laughing. My sister goes, "What are you laughing about?" I said, "You want to know something, baby girl? Here's a really good reality." I said, I'm the oldest and the last of my generation, last of the bloodline. After me, there's no more. I said, I now know what it feels like to be a dinosaur. Oh, your arms are a lot longer. And she looked at me, she was like, what? I was like, when I'm done, I'm extinct. You're extinct? I'm extinct. There will be no more behind me. This is it. This is it. So I'm going to I'm going to tap dance all the way through till I get to the last numbers, right? Because I'm still working on the dash. I got the first number, which is my birthday. I'm working on the dash. I'm no longer trying to rush to the end numbers because I feel like I got so much more work to do.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to be upset. This time I'm going to laugh. I'm going to dance. And when we get to that number, I'm going to lean on the first number and just go like this. So how y'all doing today?
Yeah. Yeah.
How y'all doing? I know this one over here said 1974. We're not quite sure, but we got a number up. I'm just gonna hang out with you for a minute, and we're gonna talk about what's next.
And there's the humor.
It's not flames.
Flames. Yeah, no, we don't want flames. No flames.
Yeah, but it's like that. So my sister hates that joke with me. My sister really hates that joke.
I think it's pretty hilarious.
I thought so too. I really
because
did.
some people see what happens is some people are uncomfortable with humor because it's a delicate situation. It's like, my father would say to me, he would talk to me about what kind of food to serve at his memorial service. This was like years before he was sick. I'm like, could we not please discuss food at I don't like those pastries, they're stale. Yeah, we're not going to discuss the food that we're serving at your memorial, which by the way, somebody else will be in charge of. I think that you won't really have a voice in that, sadly, and it's uncomfortable and everyone's kind of sitting around, it's like crickets, but yeah, I mean, it's just this uncomfortable, awkward humor, but that's okay.
It needs to be put out there. See, those of us who walked this walk before and have gone through the transition and letting the grief change us the way that it needs to change us and accepting that role. Yes, we have that humor, right? But we notice too that other people on the outside looking in who's never walked that path, it's not funny to them. Yeah, no. It's totally not funny. They love the stories and everything because it makes them think. It makes them, it puts them in an emotional setback because everybody loves a good story. But everybody loves a story where your life has gotten messed up and you figured out how to do it, right? There's nothing more powerful. And that's why I respect grief workers and people that come on my podcast is because that story that goes into it. I love a story to where we've all hit rock bottom, but I love that story of coming out of it, right? Yeah. Like Gary Vee said, you come in, you get knocked down, you go into the ashes, and then all of a sudden you're coming out the ashes like a phoenix, like, boom, take that. Yeah. Right. And that's our way of telling life. You beat me down to a point, but you built me up on this other aspect. Now you get to see exactly what you've done. You've sculpted me out of the dark moments out of my life. Right. And I'm still here. Yeah. And everyone I've talked to, that's why I get into the story so much. I'm just like, I just want to know more. I want to know more, right? I want to know how was it, right? Because I know from my perspective, but I'm like a child. I'm like a child when you tell me a bedtime story. I never want the story to end. It's interesting to hear how other people go through their stories. Right. Yeah. It's like, and everybody's got one and they're all going to be different. And they're interesting to hear. They're interesting to hear. Now, how can people find you on social media? So, they can I'm on Facebook. So they can look up OK Little Bird. Okay. And if they want the book, they can look up oklittlebird.com. They can go on an Amazon author profile. But I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. Okay. If you type in OK Little Bird, you'll find it. You'll find a synopsis and basically if people want to know like specifically what it's about. So it's about a father-daughter relationship. Mm-hmm. And it's through voicemails and bad dinners, like crazy family dinners and bad gifts and bad weird conversations and unfiltered commentaries. And there's this whole life between the father, me and my dad. And then reality hits when his health declines. And it's how we navigate through health, hospice, his mortality, and then what happens through the grieving process, what happens specifically to me, and just moving through it with the humor. So it's a kind of I'm told that people read it in like a sitting. It took me 2 years and they're reading it in one sitting. It's okay. No, just kidding. But it's like Thanksgiving dinner, right? I just spent 7 hours. You're going to sit at that table. I don't care if the next day comes. I took 7 hours. You're going to eat for 7 hours. So
But anyway, yeah, it's like a quick, it's a light, but very not light read. I mean, it's just bouncy and you move through it and it's inspiring and there's joy to be found in there and there's takeaways. And I hope that people turn the last page feeling pretty inspired and, motivated to find some kind of humor in their lives.
Yeah. See, one thing that I get away from that is that it makes me smile because people get into your book and they can sit down and read it in one sitting, right?
Yes.
It took you years to do it and they sit down and they just can't put it down.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is amazing because that just says, hey, you got something there, girl.
Oh, thank you.
You definitely got something there. And I'm definitely, that's going to be on the books that we're going to be ordering because we have, from everybody that we have, I think we have probably about 20, 30 books that people are like, hey, get it from Amazon.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So we got books from all across the world. And so I'm like, there's no way I'm going to sit down and read all of these books.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like War and Peace where you have to order a meal because you're going to be locked up for the next 6 months trying to read a 700-page book.
You never know. Look, I told you I'm an introvert.
Right. Oh, so hey, I'm a reader. I do the same.
I will read. I have no problems with sitting back, opening up a book because I'm by myself. So it's not like I have anybody to come in and interrupt me.
Right, which is
when
nice.
I'm doing podcasts and everything, I set up my time. I have my rituals that I now. These are my fundamentals of me getting through my day and accepting things the way that they are, and wanting to reach out and serve others. So therefore, it's more than just serving. I'm learning.
Yeah, it's
I'm
cool.
learning about the trauma. I'm learning how to, if this situation is different, I want to learn as much about this situation as I possibly can to be effective in what I do, but not just be effective, but to also when the next time, and there's always somebody that's going to come around with a similar situation. Right. I want to be better for them.
So it's authentic because you've been through it. It's not like, it's not like
some things I don't know. Yeah. I'm not afraid to admit that, there's some things I don't know. So when I do find someone that have gone through something similar, but experienced it differently, it's just another way of me understanding.
Right.
I can say it from my end, but we all know our grief is individual.
Yeah, it is.
It's individual. Right. So I just wanted to be better. I always want to be better at what I do. I want to serve, without expectation. I want to give without expecting someone to give something back to me.
I think you're already doing it.
I'm trying. Look, I'm always trying. I never say that I'm doing the work because there's so much more work to do, but also connecting with people like yourself that that look at things from a different perspective. It's like, I may not understand it from this perspective, but I know someone who does.
And that's pretty cool because then it becomes, it's like you're gathering this like library of resources. I was going to actually tell you, if you have people that are, in a book club, in a grief book club or whatever, I have a wonderful book club kit that provides a list of questions that they can ask their group. I'll get on and have a virtual discussion. We can dialogue about stuff and kind of go from there, because sometimes it's great to have the book and sometimes it's great to be able to discuss it, find out what the author meant. What did you mean by this? How did you do this? How did you get to the point where you could do this? So I have those. So if somebody has questions, they can always reach out. And
we'll talk more after the show, because I love that you just said that right there. I don't want to give away too much, but I am going to set it up for the next steps for us. Outside of this right here. And I hope people are really excited about this. Those who have been following me on Facebook know that we're about to do a Global Grief Conference 2022. So it's going to be a live virtual event, start April 29th. And right now we're looking at a week-long event. So I want people to come in. I want them to get to know these grief workers, sign up with them, have fun with us. We have everything. We have people like yourself, do books, painting, children's workshops, archery. We have, everybody.
It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty amazing. So I'm not going to give away too much. I want people to kind of follow us and get the idea and want to be excited about doing it, because we have some really good people. Right now we have 55 people right now, and the list is steadily growing. So this is turning out to be one of the biggest grief global conferences that we've ever done, that's ever been done. And to be a part of that journey and watching everything fall into place, but you know what? I'm honored. I'm honored. I'm a nobody that just had to go through some things, and to be doing what I'm doing right now and people coming and helping me do it, I am so honored.
There's your community. Remember when there was that time where there was nobody around, and now you built the very community that surrounds you.
Well, I've been pretty fortunate. They actually found me too, because I remember a long time ago, when I first started, people was like, this man is doing men's grief support, And so it was like people opening up the door and looking through it and going, yeah, not right now. And I got that. I wasn't mature enough, right? It was just an idea. It was an exciting idea that I thought was going to take off to the moon and back, right? We're going to be okay. No. They kept, no, not just now. So then after a while, after a year and a half into it, I was going, frustrated. I'm frustrated, right? And I'm like, there has to be another way. Something said, don't give up, take the next step. And when I failed at that one, don't give up, take the next step. I was like, how many steps you need me to take? Because if I keep going, there's a cliff over there. I'm not quite sure, but I don't have wings or parachute. And I'm starting to think that you set me up to push me off the side.
Apparently you have a cape.
Apparently, no. See, I wish the cape came and everything, because that's exactly what happened. I got to that cliff and I'm looking over the edge and I'm going, you do realize I'm afraid of heights and I can't see nothing down.
You know what that reminds me of, Tony? There's a great song by this artist named, have you ever heard of Eric Bibb?
Yes.
I love him. He's got a song called The Cape, and it's about this kid who has no clue he can't fly. He just knows he has a cape. So he goes up to the top of his rooftop or whatever and puts on his cape. And as Eric Bibb says in his lyrics, he screws up his courage real tight and he tries to jump. Obviously can't jump because of gravity, but it's like, you just put it on and do it because you think you can. That's all you need. That is the cape. Just thinking you can.
Yeah. Well, I never thought that I could. I was so afraid because I mean, to be honest with you, I've never done anything like that before. Right. I'm way outside of my comfort zone now. Here I am on top.
That's when some of the best stuff happens.
And that's exactly what happened too. Right. And something just said, have faith and jump. And I went, why would I do that? And so then something said, well, if you don't jump, I'm just going to push you over a little bit, right? And I'm like, hey, whoa, what if the ledge breaks, right? I'm on the edge right now. I don't think I like the way this is. We need OSHA out here. We need some safety regulations and things like that. So things like this don't happen to a Tony, right? And sure enough, I got to that edge, man. And I kept wanting to do it. And one day I just slipped. And that's where it all happened. It was all by accident. I slipped. And as I was going down, I'm thinking to myself, this is going to hurt. This is really going to hurt. And it did. But it was the best feeling in the world. Yeah. Because as I hit the other side through the clouds and tumbled down that hill, banged myself up, I realized as I'm going down, I'm starting to get up and I'm starting to catch my footing a little bit. And I'm running down the hill. Now it's softer. There's no more rocks. I'm already beat up, right? You know what I'm saying? I got the holes in my pants. I got hair. It's just bad. It was just bad. I looked like Krusty the Clown on crack. So, imagine that, right? That was pretty bad. And
not as funny as the dinosaur image. That's left with the arms. This is what I'm left with, Tony. Thank you for that. Yeah.
I'm glad I could contribute. That's what it was like, And then now that we're on the platform, I realized that everything that was being built on the other side was fertilizer for what we had over here. I just couldn't see it, and I had to dig deeper into my faith to go, I know that this is going to be okay. And now we come out and the grass is green. We got flowers growing everywhere, right? And it's a beautiful scene. These up here. And that's what I'm like, man, I earned this. Everything that I've gone through, the scratches, the homelessness, the suicide, everything that I've had to go through this process, I now get it. It built something better over here, but it wasn't free. And I was just like, wow, man, I'm humbled, right? Because who would have ever thought, right? I'm a poor boy from Virginia. And here I am now, 47 years old, and been through most stuff that most people don't survive.
Well,
and
that's what builds
having a conversation with you about your book. And you know what I'm saying? There's a beautiful conversation and everything. It's just like, who would have ever thought? I'm a nobody.
Never know.
I'm a nobody, right? You know, and then we're living in COVID and, you know, COVID did damage. And I'm just like, okay, we're still here though.
Yeah.
You know, we can still take that and move forward. If you had any words to tell someone out there right now, what would you tell them?
I tell them that, you know, things look difficult and they feel challenging, but you'll wake up, it'll be tomorrow, and you'll wake up, it'll be tomorrow. And then suddenly it'll be a bunch of tomorrows, and you'll be able to breathe a little easier and things will look a little bit better. And you'll realize that you can continue forward. Mm-hmm. You know, the way the life cycle works, you have to deal with the loss in order to move forward. And you're okay for it. You're a little bit stronger for it. And sometimes you're a little sadder for it. But I truly believe that the people that we love that leave us never truly leave us. As long as we carry some bits of them with us, whether it's one-liner jokes or a photo in your back pocket or something that reminds you of how they used to cook a recipe, whatever it is, then they're with you. That they're just not physically with you, but they can well stay with you every day on your journey. And to just keep plugging and to talk and just, you know, do whatever makes you feel good while you're going through your process. Give yourself permission to feel bad. It's okay to feel bad, and don't let anybody talk you out of feeling bad, because it's part of your process. And it's okay to smile and crack a joke along the way too.
I love that as well. I'm cracking jokes all the way there. If I fall down, if somebody don't laugh, I'm gonna look at them and go, "You missed your opportunity. You should have laughed when I failed. Now that I'm up, when you fall, I will not give the same courtesy to you.
No mercy.
I will laugh and laugh. I'm going to help you up, make sure that you're okay. But by the time this is all said and done, I'm not going to be okay. My stomach's going to be hurt. I'm going to laugh at you, right? So take the opportunities to laugh at each other, right? Do you have a website that people can visit as well?
Yeah, actually, it's deenasart.com. So it's DEENASART.com. And so the art's there, but there's an author, there's an OK Little Bird area at the top. They can read about the book. They can learn, you know, a little bit more about, you know, what's inside the book, and there's reviews. I'm really blessed with some, you know, beautiful people have had some great experiences and been kind enough to share their thoughts. And so they can read about that. And I hope people take the journey and laugh a little bit along the way.
Yes. Well, Deena, I want to say thank you for being on the show today. And
thank you.
I see a part 2 coming. If you're up for it, I definitely see a part 2, because when everything's all set, I think we're going to have a lot more to talk about.
Oh, yeah. There's always more, Tony.
There's always more to talk about, you know, and there's so many other things that we can just dive into and all of those things. And I don't know. I want to dive into them. I want to put those conversations out on the table. I want people not to wander, you know what I'm saying, if there's somebody out there that understands, because there's many people that understand what we're going through.
Absolutely.
And for those who are tuning in today to look at to this episode, please reach out to Deena. Go to her website, get her book. She's a hilarious person, man. I bet you guys are going to enjoy the book, and hopefully you guys enjoy the podcast. So if you guys do, and if this is your first time, please give us a comment. Make sure let us know what you think, and give us a subscribe. And until next time, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Memories of Us.
Thanks, Tony.
You're welcome.